Excuse me. But one last topic before we get to the end: the mythicism. It is a heated. Oh, you knew it was coming, man. You knew it was coming. Obviously, you don't go straight from being a Christian to a mythicist. And,
Right.
you know, beliefs are a subset of knowledge and all that there stuff and everything. And, you know, what is, stupid question that everybody would probably ask you. What is the strongest evidence you have for the mythicist position? And, yeah, we'll go with that first. What is the strongest evidence you have for the mythicist position?
Well, so it's a little hard to pick what the strongest piece of evidence is, because there's a lot of different pieces that go into it that helps support the idea. But I mean, honestly, if I had to pick anything, it would be the utter lack of evidence for a historical Jesus when you consider the context that everything has been written in. Mm-hmm. When you get down to it, the earliest and only person you have writing about Jesus even existing is Paul. And in the most that you could say for Paul is that he's too ambiguous to make a solid statement one way or the other.
Yeah.
He's really ambiguous as to whether or not he thinks that Jesus is purely celestial or if he existed on earth. And but I think that there's definitely is evidence there that will tip the scale in the mythicist on the mythicist side for Jesus, for Paul not to have considered Jesus to be a physical person in history. But for that, you have to consider the certain particular passages that seem to indicate that he had an earthly existence. But when you actually take those particular passages into account, how they're used, the words, the literal Greek words that Paul uses, it's a lot more ambiguous. And considering other factors, I think that he was probably talking more about a celestial existence only, not a historical one.
So just for clarification, if you were considering yourself, if anyone was considering himself the mythicist position states, just in a short version, very colloquially, there was no physical human being, and not to be an asshole or anything like this, but it was rumors and ideas and things bouncing back and forth and what people seen, not rumors, sorry, I said it wrong. Maybe Paul, obviously, we think Paul's seen something, and he is very convinced at what he's seen. It may have been a mental problem, it may have been drugs, it could have been a million things. It probably wasn't Jesus. But he was convinced of what his position was. But to be a mythicist, there must be no physical Jesus whatsoever.
Well, I mean, with the caveat that the specific Jesus that we're talking about is the one that supposedly started Christianity, mm-hmm. that Christianity was based on, like the historical person. And I would more or less say that, there was several communities of Jews and Jewish Christians who had a concept of the Messiah figure in Judaism.
Yes.
And then at a certain point, it's like people got tired of waiting, or they started having visions, either because they were expecting him to come soon or something like that. But people started hallucinating. Not just Paul. Paul is just representative of this early Jewish Christian, one early Jewish Christian sect. People started hallucinating about Jesus, started getting these messages from Jesus, and it's not so much that Jesus had a physical existence here on earth. In fact, the full the full minimal minimal mythicist position is that Jesus Christ is a pre-existent celestial archangel of God's that was sent to the firmament just above the earth in a mortal body so that he could be crucified and killed by Satan and his demons in the firmament so that he could defeat Satan and his demons and resurrect back up into the upper heavens, which the firmament's considered the lower heavens, but he would resurrect back up into the upper heavens to sit at the right hand of his Father so that he could defeat death and sin and all this other stuff. So that would kind of be the minimal mythicist idea of what like Jesus actually is.
Well, now